how this program works, it's a fairly quick process. You'll select the date range you want to export time to, click View, that'll query the ExakTime database to display the time records. You can see time records in this program, but you cannot edit time records. All edits, approvals, any last minute changes will be done in the ExakTime Connect UI, the administrative website, and then this program will just be used to export that time back to Sage. Typically, it's a one-click all to click all employees and all time records for the time period that you're exporting to. But for this demo, I'm just going to click a couple time employees to export their time back. And once you click here, you'll see that all the time records are checked for that employee. You can individually export time records if you need to. But when you're ready to export, you'll select your employees to export and then click Export. AccountLinks will run through the motions of reading the ExakTime database and then writing that information to the Sage database. How long this takes depends on the amount of time records you're exporting, the amount of employees. It could take anywhere from this export with about 3 employees and about 50 time records, take about 30 seconds. It could take up to a couple minutes if you're exporting a couple hundred employees at a time. So as we see here, about 50 time records took about 22 seconds, so that can be extrapolated out to however many time records you expect to export. Once time is exported from the AccountLinks program, you'll see that time records do disappear. This is part of a safety mechanism we have within AccountLinks. Since we cannot delete information on the Sage database, we can only write new information. We hide time records once they're exported to avoid duplicate exports. In the event you have multiple people with this program on individual PCs, we don't want two admins exporting the same time records as Sage to avoid those duplicates. If there's ever an issue and you do need to bring time back, you can reset exported records, and we'll have this warning message saying that you must still remove any time records from Sage to avoid any duplicates. But once you click OK, within the AccountLinks, that'll mark these time records as unexported, so you can make any corrections you need to and be ready to export again. So on the Sage side, the time records will appear in the daily time payroll entry. And as we see here, we'll go back to the time records that we exported. And I think I started on the 10th. And as we see, we have those time records that were just exported. And for the specific data that will populate, we'll have the employee. That description will be that memo field that we saw in the settings. If you use service orders, we'll fill in the service order. Otherwise, it'll be the job. Phase if using cost code, the pay type as per the settings. Pay group if you have those mapped. Pay rate will be based on the Sage tables. These will auto-populate. The hours are based on the exported hours that were just transferred over. Comp code. Right now, this is just based on the comp code within the Sage tables, but as we saw within the settings, you can override these codes if a specific cost code or a specific employee needs a specific comp code not based on the Sage default tables. And we'll also populate the note section here. So this is just about the full-time record that we will export back to Sage. Again, we'll fill in the employee, a description based on the memo field if it's there, service order if you're using it, job, phase, cost code, the pay type, pay group if you have it mapped, pay rate will auto-populate, hours based on the export, comp code based on the Sage tables unless you override that in the AccountLink settings, and again the notes field if you're using those notes. And from here you can also make corrections before you actually click the create time cards to process payroll. So we are not forcing payroll through, we are just supplementing the manual entry of time cards to let you quickly. Alright, and that will conclude our AccountLinks demonstration.